The US government is looking to use blockchain to keep track of key statistics for the economy. What blockchain are they going to choose? You got to hear this clip. We also have some more information coming to light about the US digital asset stockpile and what that might involve. Got some information around XRP, CME Group, and what that evolution has looked like. And we just hit some new goals and some new insane numbers. We also have some, XRP FUD towards the end, some community frustration that I want to just get into towards the end of this video. If you want to stay for that, it's a little spicy. Let's play this first and get on with it.
How might we otherwise come into possession of it to add to that stockpile? And so you asked about this meeting at the White House in March. During that meeting, at one point, crypto czar David Sachs asked us, the assembled guests, to go around the room and bring to the attention of the administration something they hadn't yet embarked upon. And when it was my turn to speak, I referred them to an article I'd written in Cointelegraph a few weeks before, along with Coin Fund President Chris Perkins, a former Marine, in which we called for the dusting off of a constitutional provision, Article 1, Section 8, which allows gives Congress the specific authorization to issue something called letters of marque and reprisal. Yeah. Now, that's a term we don't hear anymore, but it was very common in the 17th and 18th centuries, when countries would actually authorize merchantmen to arm their ships and attack foreign shipping as part of warcraft, especially by countries that didn't have much of a navy.
Right.
So if
these were the privateers and John Paul Jones.
You got it. Yeah. The new John Paul Jones would be the one, whatever tech firm is most successful at hacking back from the Lazarus Group and other state sponsors of hacking activities that are stolen crypto. And that's the idea here, is that Congress would authorize the executive branch to issue these letters. I've been privately advocating that we create a competition, that firms that would qualify for these letters have to demonstrate, first of all, existing capacity, computing capacity, hacking capacity to do it. And that we would authorize multiple firms with this capacity. We would set a set of specifications they would meet, and then there'd be competition to hack back. We would specifically designate who they were going after so that it doesn't become something that people can use to harm their enemies. They would only be able to harm our national enemies, which we would define. And then who would emerge would be the most swashbuckling buccaneers of the 21st century cyberspace.
And they'd probably get a small cut of it, just like whistleblowers, get a cut of the economic activity when they do blow the whistle. That's not unprecedented.
And some weird things are talked about at the highest levels of the government. I guess we're looking to become, 21st century buccaneers, and we want to work with blockchain infrastructure companies I was trying to follow it, man. I was like, okay. Anyways, let's move on to this.
The Department of Commerce is going to start issuing its statistics on the blockchain because you are the crypto president, and we are going to put out GDP on the blockchain so people can use the blockchain for data distribution, and then we're going to make that available to the entire government so all of you can do it. We're just ironing out all the details so we can do it.
Okay, a few things here. The government is interested in using blockchain to track CPI and inflation and all these different data points. I think it's great to have an immutable record of all of this stuff. The government does have, it has to be adjusted over time as information is updated. Now, one of the biggest things that happened over the last few weeks here is there was some information that came out about the jobs numbers the last few months. And if people don't realize how that works, is the US government sends surveys to companies all across the United States. And if those companies are slow to get back to those surveys of kind of how many people have you fired? How many people have you hired? What is the rate looking like in the company? There's all of these questions that go into forming all of these numbers. And when, companies don't get back at a reasonable time, and maybe they take a few extra weeks, some of that data takes a while to catch up. And then they either go up or down on the actual data points when they have more data as it goes. And so I don't know how all of this is going to work. If they want to have, this is going to be US government data, so it needs to be absolutely secure. I would imagine they're going to pick a company like Chainlink here because this is really what Chainlink does. They're in the Oracle and data business, connecting legacy systems to the new rails. Now, we're not talking about settlement here. We're not talking about stablecoins. We are talking specifically about data on a blockchain. And so that's what comes to my mind. You let me know down below what you think, but that is the first thing I think of when I hear this. Now, I did just want to take a time, just a second here. A lot of new people coming in, and listen, anytime in crypto where you see anything like this, where they're offering you, we're going to send you 100% extra XRP, just go ahead and send in, we'll send it to you back, all a scam. Telegram, YouTube, Discord, X, everybody's trying to scam you. Imagine that everything you see, until you can confirm it's not a scam, should be a scam, right? Just have that mentality. You will save a lot of money. There's some really smart people that still fall for this type of stuff. And I worry deeply about my audience and the people watching this channel. I know YouTube has a very difficult time banning these types of scams. And I've even known in the past that some of these scams have played on like XRP related videos too, right? That's how they target us. So just be very careful. You want to keep all the XRP you can. Don't lose it to shit like this. And don't ever fall for it. Please, please, please. All right, this is some big news, right? I did a video on this earlier. China fintech giant Logistics is putting in $1 trillion supply chain finance platform, the XRP ledger. This is some big news, guys. The reason this is big, let me see. Let me pull something out of my last video. Hold on one second. This has better data. Let me just pull this up here. Okay, so the reason this is important is the XRP ledger is now directly connected to 2,156 major anchor enterprises and 377 financial institutions, servicing 330,000 small to medium-sized enterprises, with operations spanning 29 Chinese provinces and 27 countries globally. The roster includes some of the world's largest companies like ChemChina, China Mobile, China Railway, Costco, China Gas, Kofco, Nike, Under Armour, and Zing Mining, meaning XRP Ledger is positioned at the heart of the major cross-border corporate trade inflows. China has over 1 billion people living in it. There's a lot of value and a lot of business transactions. And there looks like some of these giants are going to be choosing the XRP Ledger to do all of their business on. And this really should get exciting, because if they're choosing the XRP Ledger, this is a massive, massive company. And they could choose any blockchain they wanted to. What do they see in the XRP Ledger over some of this other technology? Like, that's what I really want to know. Imagine being a fly on the boardroom wall, just listening into all of this. Wait, do flies have ears? I don't know. You know the saying. Let's keep going. So this talks about trade finance tokenizing the XRP Ledger by bringing supply chain finance to the XRP Ledger. Link Logos is tokenizing robo trade assets like invoices and receivables for these corporate giants, enabling these assets to be settled cross-border using digital tokens and transparency backed by physical good contracts or cash flows. This allows trade finance in an industry handling more than $5 trillion globally to leverage the XRP Ledger and Ripple's blockchain. Big freaking deal, guys. Really, really love to see that. I'd imagine we're going to get more and more announcements like this from other countries. So love that. Bank XRP posted this. CME Group XRP futures hit 1 billion in open interest in the first 3 months. Just trying to give you some additional information here. This is a big deal. Remember, this was approved kind of mid 2025. CME's XRP futures record reflects deepening participation from institutional and corporate players leveraging the futures market to hedge speculation and gain synthetic exposure. Ripple's recent legal win and ongoing expansion, basically RLUSD, which is 686 million market cap, solidify regulatory clarity, enabling ETF providers to confidently file and anticipate spot product launches. Why the 1 billion futures mark open interest matters. Surging open interest on CME signals large capital entering XRP, making it the fastest growing contract among major crypto assets. This demonstrates the demand. So right now you are seeing the most demand, sounds like, for CME for XRP. The futures milestone also satisfies SEC listing requirements, which mandate robust active derivative markets or spot ETF eligibility, a major hurdle now cleared. Does talk about 8 major filings for spot ETFs await SEC decision in October 18th, 19th, 20th, and like a few other days after that, you're going to start getting these. Now, if we can get these approved in late October, that gives us 2 more months, November and December. Canary Capital, Matt McClug, I think is the gentleman's name. He's the CEO of Canary Capital. He predicts $5 billion to come in on the first 30 days. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. It sure seems like it could though, right? Woo! That is going to have a market cap multiplier effect, whether it's 100x or 500x, could be a 500 billion added, or it could be a 2.5 trillion added. This could get really spicy really quickly. Obviously, the market cap multiplier is going to reduce over time as more liquidity comes on, but that should be pretty nice towards the end of the year. I think this is why a lot of people believe that XRP could be $20, $30, $40 by the end of the year if something crazy happens. I know there's some people in this space that think XRP could go to $1,000 or $750 by the end of the year. I would love that, man. I would truly love that. You're talking about a pretty crazy market cap for XRP, like 40 trillion, 50 trillion to get to some of these levels. And so I don't know if we're quite there, but I'd love to make a video to say how wrong I was, because all of you would be extremely wealthy and I can be like, you know what, guys, I was wrong about that. You know, Jake Claver, man, he got it, right? I would love to make that video. I'd make 2 of them. Strategic positioning for Ripple and XRP ecosystem. Ripple benefits as its infrastructure and payments network become more attractive to global financial institutions seeking on-chain settlement and cross-border payment solutions. Corporate treasuries and trade finance desks increasingly view XRP exposure as both as a liquidity solution and a speculative asset, further expanding Ripple's market reach. Ripple continued management of XRP supply, including escrow, remains a consideration, but secondary market liquidity is expected to be sufficient and institutional ETF demand is on the way. And so here is just some additional information. OI surges, ETH, XRP, and Solana hit some major milestones. Solana and XRP here are both at $1 billion. Bitcoin's at 16 billion. ETH is at 10.5 billion. That is the juice. Now let's get to some things that are happening here in the XRP space. It looks like there are I've seen Crypto Bitler, and he's not very happy with when the price dips below $3. He does have a very large audience and 416,000 followers. So he's much bigger than I am. And, you know, he's been kind of saying some things recently that I'm not super excited about, but let's see. If XRP goes back to $2, I'll sell every last cent I have at the market and turn chart into a cliff. So basically, he's saying that his bags are so big that if we hit $2, he's going to tank the XRP price. Okay. It could mark a complete failure, but I'll be forced to move on. Holding for 12 years and can't even break even at $100. Like, I don't understand this. So you bought XRP at a fraction of a cent, and at $2, you're not going to turn profit? Like, what? I don't know. Can somebody explain this to me in the comments, what this guy's talking about? Holding for 10 years, 12 years, can't even break even at $100. This isn't a joke anymore. We have lives to live. Ripple. So he's blaming Ripple for the XRP price. Listen, guys, you got to understand. Ripple, the company, is focused on expanding their reach globally. Yes, they are building a lot of their technology has been built on top of the XRP ledger. And yes, they have been promoting and boosting and giving grants and being stewards of the XRP ledger for so long, but they're not here to pump our bags. They are here to build the next evolution of finance. So quit your crying, right? Don't be blaming Ripple for this stuff. If you cannot handle the swings of crypto and you need to move on. Seriously, like, this is childish. And then Bury Me Big says Ripple doesn't give a flying F about the XRP army. As much as we stood behind them, made it a massive impact on many aspects of litigation, they truly don't give an F about any of us using their token to change our lives. Don't get that twisted, bro. So, you know, what do you think about this? Personally, I think Ripple has done everything that they can to expand XRP's use, and I think people are sleeping on all of the stuff that has happened over the last 6 months. I mean, they just settled this lawsuit, right? Like, can a man get a second to breathe? Brad Garlinghouse had to go take a vacation and disappear from the wild because of stuff like this. I don't know. Like, I can see what I'm holding for the future, whether it happens next month or a few years from now. I understand that I'm here for the long haul. You know, I'm not here for $5 XRP or $10 XRP. I am here to take a bet on my life to see if this is going to truly be the thing that retires me. I've looked across the entire crypto sphere. I've looked at all the companies, I've looked at all the tokens, and I have dedicated my life to this specific one. And every day I wake up, every time I read new articles and new headlines and new connections, I know that I'm in the right place for the right reasons. Some people are not here for the right reasons, and just be careful who you follow and what you listen to in the space. These people obviously are bitter for something else. Do not blame Ripple, in my personal opinion, but you let me know down below. All right? Peace out.